Welcome to my corner of the internet. My name is Katie and this is my YouTube channel, Something by Katie. And today I'm going to be walking you through a routine that I like to use if I'm going to an event, whether it is a wedding or a work conference in the before times. I haven't really had one of those in a while, but regardless, this is a technique that is called the reverse foundation technique or underpainting, and I'm going to explain that. But this technique that I'm sharing is nothing that I created. I am just telling you what I have learned from very, very accomplished and established celebrity makeup artists. So I just want to share that this is a technique that I have used at weddings that I have attended in the past, or bridal showers, or I wore this to a conference in like September of 2019 back in the day. I had to kind of look put together from like 7 a.m. to 7 at night and beyond because I was at a conference in New Orleans, so I wanted to look good all day long, and obviously that's very humid weather. And this technique, I felt basically bulletproof. My makeup was bulletproof the whole time. So I like to share this technique because it seems very complicated. Don't get me wrong, it is. But at the same time, if you practice this, it is achievable. And it is achievable with affordable products. I'm going to be using mostly drugstore products today because they are truthfully they're what I have and what I like using with this. So yeah, if that sounds like something you're interested in, if you want to see me go from this to this to this, just keep watching. All right, so the first step here, I just want to explain a little bit of what we're going to be doing, but the first step is going to be skin prep. If you're doing this reverse foundation routine, you need to have really well prepped skin. So the first thing we're gonna do together is a little bit of a skincare routine. I'm filming this in the morning, so the skin you're seeing is what I woke up with. I have a little Carmex on my lips, but that's it. First things first, I'm going to do a little bit of toning. My face should be clean. Like I said, I slept and I haven't washed it since I slept, so I'm just gonna use this from Versed. It's the Weekend Glow Daily Brightening Solution, just a cotton ball. And the purpose of this is to just ensure that my skin is clean, squeaky clean. I don't think there would be any makeup left here, but see, it's kind of dirty, but that's life, you know? Like I slept on it, and this is why we're doing this, so that my face is a squeaky clean. Also, if I start with a little skin prep like this, there's no need to do primer because there just isn't if your skin is really well prepped, in my experience anyway. Now is a great time to talk about my skin type before we dive into a foundation routine. I have pretty dry to normal skin. It's not like so dehydrated that I'm not like crocodile skin by any means. Maybe in the dead of winter, but right now my skin is certainly leaning a bit more normal. No, nothing about me is oily though. Nothing about my face gets oily. I get sweaty, but that's not oily. Okay, and the good thing about this is, first of all, it's stimulating a little blood flow. Like you can see my face is getting sort of red. Not that I'm like beating my face, but I'm just waking her up, you know? The next step here, now that my face is a little damp, I am gonna use my hyaluronic acid serum. This is just the 2% HA serum from Fourth Ray Beauty. And then I put that when he's gonna start barking. Put that between my hands and warm it up, and then I just press it in like this. Do you see on my face, my hands like stick? This serum is so grippy. It like is its own primer. God, my knee. Shush. The next step here is gonna be adding a face cream. This is my favorite face cream. I like using the Neutrogena water gel. And then I'm also going to use my Murad Hydrodynamic Ultimate Moisture for Eyes. This type of look is going to be good for several different types of events. So just keep in mind, you're going to want to practice this. It's not the most intuitive way to apply makeup, just in general. It definitely, like, you have to understand conceptually why you are doing things. Oh my God, this dog. Before I get into that, just need to let my skincare soak in a minute. And then I'm going to add on top my sunscreen, Neutrogena Clear Face, the 55 SPF. It's important to prepare your skin for this type of look, or it's just the products won't apply correctly or how you want them to apply. Again, just like with all this skincare, I like to warm it into my hands. And I definitely want to apply it, but I don't want to over apply it. Now that I have my skincare applied and my skin is prepped, hi, there are a lot of dogs around here, so you're just gonna hear dog noises. I'm sorry, that's my life. I'm at my parents' house, so there isn't just Winnie, there are 2 other big dogs around too. Anyway, so like I was saying, that if you're going to use a technique like the reverse foundation routine, there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, you need to understand that we're not applying makeup in the way that you might like be used to. So just keep in mind that the concept that we're working with here is that of underpainting. If you have any art training or any training in painting at all, maybe you've heard of this technique, but essentially what it is you put a color down as your base while you're painting, whether it's on canvas or your face. You put a base color down and then you work around that color, and it adds even more depth and nuance to the work of art that you're creating. When it comes to makeup application, with this technique, you'll lay down a very dark color first. And it doesn't look natural at first, but what you're doing is you're adding the highlights and contouring together, and you're blending out the different colors. All have a purpose. Think of your entire face as your canvas, and each color that you lay down, like each product that you use, whether it is liquid or cream or powder, whatever it is, each product has a purpose in the entire overall color of your face and the shading and the tone. So just keep that in mind, that you have to understand the concepts, and I'll explain it as I go. Contouring is adding shadows to your face to manipulate your face shape so that it looks how you want it to look. Highlight brings certain features forward, features you like, and that you want to emphasize, you'll bring those forward. So what are those features on your face? Some of you might have a good idea. Some of you might have nowhere to start. I have taken a lot of knowledge that I have gathered from many makeup artists. I'm going to share some of their tips. So Harush is a celebrity makeup artist. I will link to her channel down below. I mean, she works on a lot of people like J-Lo, but she's most well known for being one of the Kardashians' makeup artists, especially Kylie's. But she's so talented. And one of her tips is to take your phone, don't put it on selfie mode, put it on the front facing camera, and put the flash on and take a photo of yourself face forward, front on. And you want it to look as raw as possible and study your features. I know that sounds unhealthy. I'm not trying to encourage people. I guess I should put a disclaimer. I don't think I need this makeup. Like, you don't have to wear makeup to events. That's not a thing. Like, you don't have to wear makeup ever. I'm saying if you want a particular look and you want it to last all day, this is a technique that works for me. Basically, if you want to take that camera and study your features a little bit, it just kind of helps you understand the layout of your own face, is my point. Because I'm not a trained makeup artist. I've had to work very hard to figure out what works for my face. Anyway, all that being said, let's get into it. I am going to be using quite a few products, but I'm going to be creating very sheer layers, but a lot of them. So the makeup is going to stick to my face. I'm not going to use as much powder as you might think I would need to. Let's do this. I'm going to be adding the contour first. And I did mention a few minutes ago that contour is adding depth and shading to your face. A misconception is contour colors don't only have to be cool tones. Maybe for your skin tone, it should be a cool tone. For my skin tone, I have a light skin tone, but my undertone is pretty neutral. So I can get away with warm, cool, or neutral undertones, but knowing your skin's undertone is gonna help you also. This is something that I highly recommend you practice this before whatever event you're going to. There's a lot of moving parts. Like you have to keep a lot of things in order in your head. But the first product I'm gonna be using here is the Maybelline Superstay Multi-Use Foundation Stick in the shade 360 Mocha. I personally love this shade, and I like using, this is a preference, you can use like a cream contour kit like this e.l.f. one if you want, but I personally like using foundation for this step because it adds coverage. So you're using less product for coverage. That's another note. Before you go in, you should think about what the desired effect is at the end that you want. For example, I don't love full coverage foundation. I don't think it looks good on my skin. I really love that I have freckles. I want my freckles to show. I just want my skin even. Like you see how red my nose is? My eyes are a little darker. I just have like a mustache type effect around my mouth. Again, there's nothing wrong with my face. I love my face. I have good features, all of that, but I'm just saying the desired effect when I am at an event where there is a photographer or there's flash photography or video or what have you, I want to look good the whole time from whatever angle. I don't want the flash to bounce off like my neck and everything look super uneven and out of whack. So my intention is to create a very even base that looks like skin, but will last all day. So that's my personal opinion. So the products that I am gonna share reflect that. So I'm not using like a super full coverage foundation. I'm using a few different products to get the coverage in a couple of different ways. So first step is this foundation. I feel like it looks super warm there. Now it looks more true to color. Whoa, weird. Anyway, I like to take it off with a brush. You could just draw right onto your face, but I personally find that it's easier to blend if you just put it on a product like so. I'm using the e.l.f. Airbrush Blender. It feels weird. It really does feel weird to just go in with dark colors like this and just leave it like that as a line for now. Like I said, it's much easier to blend if you just go on from a brush rather than draw it. And you don't have to blend it yet because we're going to be adding the foundation on top and concealer on top. So we will blend it out when we're blending out the other products. For now, we're just applying it right where we want it. That's another important thing to keep in mind with this technique. Place the makeup exactly where you want it to be because we're not going to be moving it around. We're going to leave it, and that's another way to apply less makeup. Like this technique, you could go overboard so quickly. It could go wrong very easily. That's why I'm saying like practice this. And also just in general with this look, keep in mind, it's going to look terrible until it looks amazing. Like for real. Until the very, very end, I'm probably going to be like, oh my God, did I pull this off? Which is why it's a good look to practice so you can be more confident. I'm adding some color to my neck, especially my jawline. But yeah, so this looks weird because it is, but I am applying this where I want a bit of depth. I have a large forehead. I want the hollows of my cheeks to stand out. I want my jawline to be like cut. And also, personally, I like this side of my face better. So I think this one's a little puffier. Like that doesn't, it's not. But I'm just telling you, like, in terms of makeup. But a trick to make your jawline a little like slimmer is instead of putting it just under, put it like a little bit on top, and then it'll shrink it a little. I'm not putting it over here because I like this side better, but this side. And I don't want to bring the color too far down because I don't want my face to droop. But because of the shape of my face, again, you're going to have to contour a little differently because we don't have the same face shape. That's my assumption. I don't know you, but we probably don't. So make sure you're doing the technique for yourself. Don't just copy exactly what I'm doing. Make sure that you're applying it to how your face looks and what your face needs are. I'm going to apply this with my finger. I'm just going to take a little right here and go down the sides of my nose. The best trick of all, use a contour foundation stick as your lip liner, and oh my god, your lips will never look better, in my opinion. Told you, it's gonna look real bad before it looks good. Like, you're like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, also, here's a pro tip. If you don't want to do eyeshadow, or you don't have time, or you're not good at it, here's what you can do. Voila! You're gonna have a cat eye. Literally just draw it out onto your eye, and then we'll blend it in the shape that we want here in a sec. But you won't have to do eyeshadow with this technique. You can just use your contour, and I swear it'll be great. Okay, so next thing I like to do is start leveling out the color a bit. Obviously this is dark, but it's our base for the underpainting. And now I'm gonna go on top of it with a liquid foundation. My fave, I love using this Dream Urban Cover in the shade 120 Classic Ivory from Maybelline, because it's a liquid. It's like a more liquidy texture. I like this because what you do is just put a little on the back of your hand. You can see it's not very much. We're adding coverage. Like, I already have coverage because I'm wearing a little foundation, but we're gonna add coverage and even out this color. So I don't want to just like cover up everything, but I am gonna pick up a little on the finger, and I'm gonna go right here and here because I'm trying to use this to even out the tone. Okay, so this is not about coverage, this is about the color of my face. There will be coverage, and don't worry, like, we're getting there. But my point here is that you're not applying very much extra makeup here. It's still going from that one spot on the back of my hand. I didn't apply any extra. And then just here, put it on the edge of your contour. And then another product, this is a totally, I mean, it's all optional, but this is definitely optional. But I'm going to add a little of the Auric Glow Lust, and the shade that I have and love is Morganite. I just put a touch on the back of my hand, and I'm just literally like the smallest amount. I'm going to put here and here and here. This adds a little coverage too, but more than anything, a glow is what I mean. I'm going to use an L11, the Laura Lee Los Angeles flat top kabuki brush. You could use a sponge at this part as well. I just find that it blends out the liquid foundation really well with a dense brush, but I go into some of the foundation on the back of your hand just a touch so that your brush, when you go like right in, it doesn't like pick the product up. It just starts to blend it in. I'm just gonna start here. And you're just very lightly tapping. No swiping, no swiping, just tapping. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, we tap to blend. And like I was saying, you don't want to move stuff. You want to leave it right where you applied it, okay? Patience is key for this technique. an Instagram video of me doing this technique. It's like really confusing without the context because you look like you're adding so much more. I look like I'm adding a lot more product than I actually am, in my opinion. But because I did the skincare beforehand, we're gonna be all good. And for this, I just go straight pat on top. And for here, we're just like blending it up into that eye socket and blending it out to give a little cat eye. So with this, again, you're not even gonna have to do eyeshadow. Like you could just put that there, blend it with your foundation brush, and you're good. Next step here, oh shoot. I forgot. My first step. Oh my god. Am I gonna have to refilm this? Shit. Damn it. Normally I always go in with the Maybelline Master Conceal in that first, literally what was I thinking? Whatever. Normally I add this first with that first layer of foundation. Anyway, this concealer, why don't more people talk about it? It's so good. Maybelline Master Conceal 20 Light is the shade I use. It just comes in a squeezy tube. A little bit goes a long way. There's a lot of coverage here. I really can't believe I forgot to put that on. Oh well. And the other concealer I'm gonna be using right now is my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use in shortbread. The theory with this is that you put down this base layer of coverage with the dark foundation shade and then this concealer, and then blend it together with your foundation in the middle. You see my sweat stash? I am always the sweatiest. Ew. See what I'm saying about that cat eye effect? Another important concept to this technique is that you have to do sheer buildable layers. Okay, so don't over apply the products. Don't just like squeeze a bunch of foundation. Like really put everything on the back of your hand before you put it on your face if you're nervous about over applying things. Oh my god, I'm sweating to death. Actually, yes, I have notes. Now that this is like a little drier, we're gonna add a touch more concealer here. And then we're gonna let it set before we blend it out. The purpose of this concealer is for the coverage and the color. So the last concealer, I put it on as a base and everything is going to stick to that concealer. The consistency of this Maybelline Master Conceal to put on the base, I love using it because it's, I would not say it's thin, but it's more like professional makeup in the sense that it's like sheer but has a lot of pigment to it. So you can put a little bit of this on, it'll color correct for you. And then if you apply a small layer and then let it dry, and then you can add a creamier concealer formula on top of it. And if we let this dry for a couple of minutes, I want to add a little bit more too. Jen, I'll wait a couple of minutes, just let this dry. And if you don't let creamier formula of concealer, if you don't let it just kind of set before you blend it out, you are doing it wrong. This is totally a technique I've also learned from these makeup artists. So I mentioned, by the way, I mentioned Harouche at the beginning. This is a really popular technique that Scott Barnes does on JLo all the time. He does this technique on her. There are so many videos on YouTube of Scott Barnes so Google him. Also, Jill Powell is another really awesome celebrity makeup artist, and I found her through Bailey Sarian, and Jill Powell is the one I owe sheer buildable layers, as well as this Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. Oh my gosh, I owe her because those are some great tips. But I found out that idea of letting creamy concealer dry a little and it gets more coverage. And I've said this before, but I placed these exactly where I want them to be. I'm not going to be like moving it around. So I'm going to go ahead and start blending out the forehead. And again, just a little tapping, tappity-doo-dah, tippity-tappity. I'm going to have to add a little more foundation for the color, I think, which is totally fine. But here, I'm just down here sharpening up that contour. You see with, you can see it right here really well. Remember, I contoured on my jaw, added that shade, add a shade to chisel out my cheek, but I add the light in the places that I want to emphasize. So we cut that cheekbone and the jaw. And voila, I'm teaching you how to do plastic surgery without getting plastic surgery. And there, that just emphasized that cat eye. And I'll give you really good close-ups of my skin. It does not look cakey. And if your skin looks cakey, Kai, what's wrong? She's dreaming, Winnie. It's okay. This would be a good point to use a sponge probably, but I can't use a sponge because Winnie snatched it. My dog. My dog ate my homework. Literally. How this technique feels so wrong, but so right all at once, because it's like, look how, well, I did add the Glow Lust, but it's not all from the Glow Lust. When you let your products get tacky like this, it just adds a more natural glow from within type of vibe. It's so good. Also, this technique, like if you are somebody who has acne, this is a really good technique because you're not adding powder to the texture of your face. You get extra coverage from, of course, the concealer and the contour as well. This is a really good technique for a lot of different types of skin and events and needs. Like, it's a red carpet technique, so technically, like, it's intended to be looked at far away, like on camera or whatever. But I wore this to a conference. I wore my face like this, and I just took my time in the morning and made sure the layers were sheer and that I wasn't choosing too full coverage of a product. That's why I like using this. Even more than like the It Cosmetics CC cream is a little thicker of a formula. Like this is like a liquidier formula. So I think it works really well for this technique. I am going to add a little bit more of the foundation color because I feel like I have the dark and the light, but we need to kind of even this out. Ooh, yeah. Also, you might notice I just switched brushes randomly. I didn't really do that on purpose. I just started using this smaller brush for the concealer and then I kept using it. This is just the Real Techniques Expert Face brush, which I love. It's a great foundation brush. Again, we're just trying to work on the color right now. So I'm not really looking at the coverage. I'm looking at I had a lot of darkness and not enough of the medium tone. And I think this is it. This is doing the trick. And I seriously just added like a drop of foundation on the back of my hand, and I very thinly, like when I put it on the skin, it's like, doop. it might look like more than it even is. And the key, I know I keep saying the sheer buildable layers, but you have to blend the shit out of your skin. Like, blend. When you think you have blended enough, blend more. That's the other, like, key to this, in my opinion. Sorry, I gotta cover more ground here. You don't always have to put makeup on your neck, but like I was saying earlier, if there's like a photographer, a flash of some kind, you want to make sure that the flash like evenly bounces on your skin or evenly absorbs light. Like, you don't want your face looking really awesome and then your neck is like red or whatever. Not gonna be cute. Now is a good time to put on a setting spray as well. And I will use powder. Like with the liquid and cream products, every color that I choose and every powder has a very specific purpose, and I'm not just using it to use it. You'll notice I did not use cream blush. That's a personal preference. You could add cream blush right now if you want, but on the way my face is, I prefer to use a powder blush as like a way to set my face rather than using like a translucent powder underneath. I'll use the blush and bronzer, powder bronzer to set. And then I'll use a little tiny bit of loose setting powder underneath my eyes and around my nose. And depending on the type of event, I would bake to keep my stuff in place, but I'm not gonna do that. Let's take a touch more of this foundation. And I love working out of squeezy tubes. Okay, be quiet. And I have foundation that I put on the back of my hand and beat into my brush. Yay! Okay, we're all coming together here. At this point, like I said, you could use a facial spray. I forgot to pack one. I'm at my parents' house. Otherwise, I would use one. The powder that I'm going to use today is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. I just have this little mini one that I like to travel with. And I love to use this precise, another Real Techniques brush. This is the Deluxe Crease Brush. I love to set my under eyes because it's dense. This powder doesn't do flashback. I set this like in these areas because I sweat. And this helps me not ruin my makeup. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. My chest doesn't look even. Whatever, it's fine, it's fine. Next up, I'm going to show you a couple of blush and bronzer recommendations that will like make your face not look powdery. Okay, so I could stop here. You could stop here. I mean, put a lip on, but and brows. But like, it's possible to stop right here, but we're not going to. I have said this before and I will say it again. The best bronzing powders in my collection are from Alamar Cosmetics. I love using this because these powders are infused with hyaluronic acid, which is a humectant and draws out the moisture in your skin. These powders do help your face look more plump rather than like powdery. So now I'm going to take this bronzing powder with this bronzer brush, also from Alamar, and I'm going to hit the sides of my face with Pale Wear and Cafe Con Leche. Just kind of mix those two. And this, again, it kind of solidifies the shape that you're going for and sets everything. So if you're at this event and you walk up and hug people, you don't want your cream products like going all over their, like if you're at an event, a formal event, and let's say you're, somebody's wearing a tux or a suit, you don't want to rub up on them and get like makeup all over their jacket. That would be not cute. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, like, it's not a fun feeling when that happens. So I like to set my makeup because I don't want it sloughing off. And I do sweat, and I like to dance at weddings. So, yeah, I'll set my face. I'm not saying that I'm giving you transfer proof makeup. Don't get it twisted, but I'm saying that it's less likely to get all over other people. And I like these bronzers because there's a darker shade and a lighter shade. So like, for example, I'm just taking the lighter shade right now to kind of go in between where that bronzer is in my, like, the forehead highlight right there. Like, I just want to make sure it's all very even. And again, everything you put on your face has a purpose for the color or the texture. Is like, they're all doing something. This isn't just like on here for no reason. I also like to take an eyeshadow brush, and I'll take Cafe Con Leche, the darker, down the sides of my nose. We did this a little with the cream, so you don't have to do it with powder, but I felt like it wasn't standing out how I wanted to. And I bring it into the eye socket. And like I said, no eyeshadow for this look. You're just gonna bring that bronzer in a little lower, just so there's like depth. And then I take the brightening shade, Rise and Grind here, and there's your eyeshadow. So pretty in my opinion. And then I'll take the bronzer, just running it on the lower lash line with the brightening shade here. And I'll go right there. You can see the sweat stash. Oh God. Okay, and then good recommendations for blush. Use either the Alamar blush or the Lunar Beauty Moon Prism blush. Has some good blurring properties to it. I'm gonna choose Romantica, this middle shade. Another tip is applying your blush with a really wispy brush like this. It will apply a little thinner and like in a very airbrushed way. And again, I will just add the blush color up on my forehead too, where the sun hits, so that everything's tied together. And the sweat stash is real. Oh my God. And then you don't have to add a highlight at this point. It's all pretty glowy, but I will add a highlight. And I'm going to use this Glow Gleam Beam palette from e.l.f. This is the exact formula highlighter that's not like, don't choose a glittery one. But this is a good powder, kind of like the same texture of the Becca shimmering powder highlights. These two, I mean. This is just like a face powder that's glowy. It's not chunky, it applies very smooth. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of it all and just add that to the high points. And again, you can skip this or just use a cream highlight if you'd like, but I love this e.l.f. one. And I think it looks really good with the colors I picked. Last, but certainly not least, is lips. I like to use this shade from ColourPop, the lippy pencil in the shade Beeper. That's this. And I'm gonna go on the underline. Perfect. And then right in the middle. Now, what I'm doing here is the contour shade that I picked is super warm and Beeper is a little bit cooler. And because I have a neutral undertone in my skin, it makes my lips look a lot bigger. I'm going to use Glossier Cake, the Generation G lipstick. And now I'm going to add, finally, Artist Couture Cream Lipstick in the shade Saucy Gal. I love this shade. And voila, this is the completed look. And it's very skin-like. I'll show you clips out in natural sunlight and not with the ring light on in a second. just so you can see, but it really is very skin-like. And you can still see my freckles. Remember how I said that at the beginning? That was a desired effect for me, that I still wanted to see that through, but I am very glowy. This is the routine I use when I am attending a wedding, going to a bridal shower, attending a work conference, something like that. Or this could be even a useful tutorial if you're attending my wedding. Just kidding. But for real though, this is a really awesome technique, but as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts, so I highly, highly recommend that you practice it several times before your actual event, because there's a lot of room for error, quite frankly. I've seen a few makeup artists do it and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that. So I did, and it's awesome. And now you can try it too. I loved, oh, you know what? I didn't put any of this highlighter in my inner corners. With my pinky. Oh yeah. Gorge. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe bell subscribe button while you're down there, and maybe the alert bell too, so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.